Hard gainers are not actually a real thing. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And when I say that hard gainers are not real, what I mean is there are two classic mistakes that create hard gainers, or people who believe they're hard gainers, but the reality is they don't actually seem to exist. And ultimately, even the old studies we saw about no gainers seem to pretty much go away once training and diet are in order. So the thing is, there are lots of guys who are convinced they're hard gainers of number one, they're like, I literally can't gain weight or I can't gain muscle. Or number two, the ones who bulk and cut and then they end up making no progress, bulking and cutting all the time. Like, I just don't seem to gain any muscle no matter what I do. And I need to explain these two mistakes and how they happen and how to fix them. So first of all, the one who I just can't gain weight, biologically impossible. Cannot violate the laws of physics and biology. If you eat endless amounts of food and you're convinced of it and you're tracking it properly, you need to see a doctor immediately, because there's only 3 possible medical scenarios I'm aware of in which a person can eat seemingly unlimited food and not gain any body weight. Okay, number one, type 1 diabetics who are not being medicated correctly. All right, that can cause that to happen, in which case you should be experiencing other symptoms at that point. But usually, yeah, the ability for you to dramatically increase food intake and not ever gain weight from it, right? So let's say you've been eating a significant amount of food, then you increase it noticeably, consistently for a week or two, and the scale doesn't budge. That's a dead, especially if you're starting to smell stuff like a fruity smell, certain other symptoms. You need to get to a doctor, because you're eventually going to die. You're going to die if that's the case. You're type 1 diabetic, potentially. You have serious cancer that is getting out of control that hasn't been diagnosed yet, would be another one. Okay, particularly if you start eating more and you start losing weight. Ooh, that's a big one. You need to get to a doctor. You need to discuss it with them. You need to be tested for signs of various cancers, that you need to find those tumors. It may be too late, by the way, at that point. You probably ignored signs too long, but there's at least a chance you can save your life. You need to get to the doctor. Number 3, you have an enormous parasite like a tapeworm. But you'll also see a distended stomach and things from that. So usually that's your 3 cases. So failing that, you're simply not counting your calories. So you're just simply not tracking. And what I mean is, anyone who starts consistently tracking, if you find your maintenance calories, and there is no my metabolism, my activity level, those are not excuses. So what I mean is, if you find your maintenance calories, figure out whatever it takes for you to eat, measure it, weigh it, and see if your weight stays the same. So if you find that number, I don't care if it's 2,000 calories or 5,000 calories. When you find your maintenance, I promise you, every human being on earth, if they had 500 calories a day, the scale will start going up. So whether it's 2,000 or 5,000, let's say you've been eating 5,000 calories and not gaining any weight, and you're 140 pounds, and you go to 5,500, you will be at 150 in no time. Right? Yeah, we all understand this. Anybody not understand this? Within a couple months, you'll be at 150 pounds. Promise. Guaranteed. 100% chance. Because you cannot avoid gaining weight unless we go back to one of those 3 scenarios I just described. You're just simply not tracking and eating. You're not being consistent. You think you eat a lot, you probably don't. Or you eat a lot on occasion, and then you react by going 30 hours by forgetting to eat. That's what's happening. So maybe you eat a giant meal, you eat this huge amount one time in one sitting, some buffet, and then the next day you eat 1,200 calories, and the day after 1,700. When your maintenance is 2,800 or 3,000. That's why you're not gaining weight. And I'm not telling anyone they need to bulk fast. Like, I'm not a believer in fast bulking. I think it should be very slow. A pound a month is more than sufficient for maximizing muscle growth, by the way. A pound a month. But when you're telling me you can't gain weight, no, you are simply not tracking your food accurately or consistently. You're just not consistently eating enough. And it doesn't matter how much you think you eat, you're clearly wrong. Again, unless we get to one of those three medical situations. By the way, the fast metabolism and slow metabolism thing is largely debunked, is not really real. And if it is real, medications can treat it. There's something medically wrong with you that a simple prescription will usually fix. If you really do have a truly fast or slow metabolism, usually a pill will fix it. That's a medical problem. It's not normal. It's not just because you have a metabolism. All right, the other one, I bulk and cut and don't gain anything. Yes, because guys bulk too fast. That's it. People overbulk, they gain fat too quickly. You don't gain more muscle by gaining a bunch of fat. Let us be clear. Okay, gaining 5 pounds a month versus 1 pound a month of body weight is probably not going to be any meaningful amount of extra muscle growth. It could be for a novice. If you're not a novice, I guarantee you it's zero. It's absolutely zero extra muscle growth. Been proven in multiple studies. This is not even a point of contention. If you're a novice, maybe a tiny bit more muscle from gaining 5 pounds instead of 1, but it's not going to be much more. Again, you're talking about a couple ounces. Okay, maybe a couple of ounces of extra muscle per month. So instead of a pound or whatever, you gain a pound and 1 ounce. Something crazy small. It's not going to be significant though. Okay. So why do they never make gains? Because they overbulk, they get fat, and then they panic and they cut really quickly, and they lose any muscle that they gained, and they restart the process over and over and over. Because they have to cut. If you decide to ever bulk quickly, you're accepting that you plan on being fat long term. If you can't be content with saying, hey, I'm going to be fat and sloppy for a few years, don't bulk like that. If your goal is to say, I want to look fit in any way, that is the worst approach you can possibly take. Because any sort of approach like that, you're going to need to keep that body fat that you've gained for a real long time to really solidify any of those gains. You can't just go cut immediately. So you don't pull that approach unless you're happy with saying, hey, I don't mind having a little bit of a belly and some big love handles and stuff. You can't live with that. Don't be even trying nonsense like that. Because you're going to lose all your gains. You're going to over panic. You're going to be unhappy with it because you're someone who can't be happy at a higher body fat. So you're going to panic and you're going to cut really quickly. You're going to lose any muscle you gain. And then you're going to come back and say, I'm a hard gainer. I only gain fat when I bulk and I lose all my muscle. Well, no, because you're bulking like an idiot. You're eating garbage and over bulking, getting really fat for no extra muscle growth, and then you're dieting off any muscle that you gained. It's nothing to do with your genetics or inability to gain muscle. It is a poor dietary approach. That's what's causing it. So you're gaining muscle, you're just dieting off any muscle that you gain because you're getting too fat too quickly from eating, overbulking and eating incorrectly. Right? That's the problem. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.